I'm very excited about this conversation because I think there are a lot of things that are happening in this space today. If you think about, supply chain professionals in general, we've always been concerned about risk and mitigating risk and how to manage things in the context of our businesses. But, the global pandemic has really challenged even the most advanced organizations. As you reflect on what we've experienced, can you point out or think about what's different about what we've been going through here over these last 9 months?
Probably the two features, if you will, that stand out most clearly as somebody that's done some research in this risk space, actually with one of our colleagues, Dr. Steve Melnick, and I have worked in this space for probably going on 10 years now, is that when we've looked at things in the past, we see a lot of discussion of risk events. A hurricane hits and suddenly humanitarian need needs to come into a location, or a demand spike happens, a good supply chain risk event where maybe your product takes off more than you anticipate. We often think of risks as negative events, but sometimes a successful product release can strain our systems just as well. But what's interesting about 2020 and the pandemic and the supply chain and consumer response is two things. One is the magnitude, the size of the disruption to our supply chains has been, very, very surprising, I think, and also has persisted over some pretty long periods of time. So the magnitude of the events, as well as the fact that we seem to have experienced simultaneous supply and demand shocks. And so it's not uncommon to see a supply shock. A necessary raw material is difficult to acquire. Manpower is difficult to, we've had declining unemployment in the country for the last few years, which is, a bit of a stress on supply chains. So things on the supply side and things on the demand side, explosive demand for protein in the food supply chain as people pack their freezers full of things at the exact same time that some of those protein packing plants were experiencing COVID outbreaks and couldn't produce. And so we saw the invokement of, infrequently used bill to compel workers back in. And so both sides of that supply chain at the same time being strained is very uncommon. And one of the things as I talk about this in class with our students is just really stands out in 2020 as unusual for any supply chain that might be operating.
Yeah, and that's very consistent with what we've been hearing from organizations is the dramatic scale of what's been taking place has hit them in some ways as being unexpected, and some of the great challenges with it being of a global nature as well, hitting multiple supply side and demand side markets globally at the same time. So